Arya doesn't fear death, she'd stand and fight anyone or anything. Arya would not be afraid of whites or White Walkers, as she's actually fighting those in the trailer. She would not run from them, especially since she's holding a knife made of dragon glass, which kills them. My first thoughts seeing Arya like this were either Sansa or Brain or even Jon died during the battle, and Arya sees it and it breaks her down. But I don't think it's that either, since I cannot see any of them dying in the third episode when this battle takes place. So what would be scary enough to cause Arya to turn around and run? I think it's a dead family member from the crypts that the Night King reanimated. HBO is obviously reluctant to show us what's pursuing the Stark assassin, as they blacked out whatever's giving chase, but fans have managed to find a couple of frames that show what could be after her. I think the one chasing her, or at least one among them, is her brother Rickon, who died at the Battle of the Bastards and who's been buried in the crypts below Winterfell. Arya sees undead Rickon, she cries and is not able to fight him, so she runs. That's the only logical answer at this moment. In the trailer we see Arya fighting against whites and White Walkers that have surrounded her on the walls of Winterfell, so she would not run away from some in the halls of Winterfell, and she certainly would not run from any human, but she would definitely be terrified of her recently deceased sibling, rising and chasing her. And that's what's going on in my opinion. Now there's also another clip in this trailer when we see Arya running, but at time there's two men behind her. Again, Arya would not run away from living men, so what's going on is that the two are not actually chasing her, but are running with her. This scene will, in my opinion, happen before a white, undead Rickon chasing Arya scene. Moving on to the next thing we are going to discuss in this trailer is Jon going to ride Rhaegal. So in the trailer we see Dany Targaryen and Jon Snow walk up to the surviving dragons, Drogon and Rhaegal, and while nothing actually happens, it has fans wondering if this is the season where we'll finally see Jon ride a dragon. In the 5th episode of the 7th season, one of the dragons let Jon Snow pet him, and now it's finally time for Jon to ride one as well, Rise of Dany. And now in season 8, with their heads down, it looks like the two are going to mount them, Dany Drogon and Jon Rhaegal, the one named after his father Rhaegar. So Jon is most likely going to ride Rhaegal into battles against the Night King in season 8, although probably later on in the season. Has it been foreshadowed? Has there been enough clues and hints throughout the series that would foretold this event? Definitely. In Game of Thrones, dragons are possessed only by House Targaryen, and since Jon is, beside Dany, the last living Targaryen, it only makes sense for him to ride the last living dragon beside Drogon. Since the end of season 6 and with the first season 7 promotional photos, I've been saying that this Dany's outfit and pin on it foreshadow the three-headed dragon theory coming true, and both Jon and the Night King being the ones to ride the remaining two dragons. This was way before season 7 aired, and before the Night King rode Viserion. Dany's outfits throughout the series were always used to either symbolize or foreshadow something. Her outfits used to mostly be of blue color. This is because Khal Drogo's Khalazars used the color blue to identify themselves from other Khalazars. Dany wore blue a lot to remember him. This fact is important for you to understand that the Game of Thrones outfits usually mean something and should not be overlooked. Throughout the last season, Dany wears outfits that contain dragon motifs and matches with colors of her house, which is pretty common among the lords and ladies. Every lord, king or queen wears an outfit that contains a symbol of his or her house sigil, meaning that there's nothing surprising that Dany wears colors and motifs on her dresses that matches with her own house. As we can see, Dany often wears the three-headed dragon pin, which at first doesn't hint, not to mention confirm any theory. But on the other hand, this same pin that seems just like every other regular pin might hint that the popular three-headed dragon theory might come true in the final season. Before I continue, let me just highlight this. Unlike most of other TV shows, Game of Thrones is a show that has many times foreshadowed main events far in advance. Let me give you a few examples. Ned Stark's death was foreshadowed in the very first episode of the series. As we all know, Ned Stark, accompanied by Jon, Robb, Theon, Bran and a few other men, came upon a dead direwolf. A few moments later we found out that this direwolf was killed by a stag, which actually foreshadowed Robert Baratheon, a stag, getting Ned, a wolf, killed by inviting him to King's Landing, while 6 pups that were left behind upon the direwolf's death represents Ned's 6 children. Then we also have Littlefinger foreshadowing Tywin Lannister's death. In the 8th episode of the 4th season, Littlefinger had a conversation with Robin, who was afraid of leaving home following his mother's death. Robin thinks it's safer for him to stay inside, but Littlefinger told him that people can die anywhere. Littlefinger said people die at their dinner tables, people die in their beds, they die squatting over their chamber pots, and a few episodes later Shae was killed on her bed, and Tywin Lannister was killed while squatting over his chamber pots. These are just a couple of examples of Game of Thrones foreshadowings, just to point out that every small talk, every small item that we at the moment sometimes don't even catch might be foreshadowing something huge. With this being said, Dany's pin might be still nothing more than a regular pin, but taking into account all the previous hints that foreshadowed major events, deaths and much more, this on first sight regular pin might have much bigger importance, Might be a clue that the three-headed dragon theory will come true. So yeah, as I was saying, this three-headed dragon pin, beside being a regular pin that represents Targaryen's sigil, might also foreshadow that beside Dany and the Night King riding dragons, there might be one more dragon rider that will ride the one remaining dragon Rhaegal. Let me introduce you with a theory that this three-headed dragon pin might be foreshadowing. So basically, according to this theory, Rhaegar Targaryen's statement in Dany's vision that dragon has 3 heads means that each of Dany's 3 dragons will have their own riders. For all of you not caught up with the books and are probably wondering when did Rhaegar say this, I'll try to explain it to you. Dany saw visions in the House of the Undying in both in the books and on the show, but her visions are quite different. In the books, Dany saw no vision of Drogo and their son, but she did see many other visions, of which one was a vision of her brother Rhaegar saying the dragon has 3 heads. The first dragon rider is obvious. Dany has unbreakable bond and connection with Drogon, who is named after her late husband Khal Drogo and is the largest one. After the heartbreaking battle beyond the wall, the Night King rides Viserion and Dany has only 2 dragons left. Since she rides Drogon, it would only fit for Jon, the other last living Targaryen, to ride Rhaegal into the battle at some point, probably after he learns of his true parentage. 2 years ago, I already made a video regarding this, the three-headed dragon theory, that already proved to be quite accurate. In that video I also explained how the three-headed dragon theory has been foreshadowed, as well as which characters might make up the three-headed dragon prophecy. Long story short, who those 3 dragon riders might be. Dany obviously has unbreakable bond with Drogon, and Jon Snow, being the last Targaryen beside Dany, would ride a dragon named after his father Rhaegar, but not before the last season. Regarding the third dragon rider that is required to fulfill the three-headed dragon theory, I said that it would be nice to see Dany, Jon and Tyrion riding the dragons into the battle against the Night King, but I also say it was kind of too obvious and simple to be true. This would have also fulfilled Tyrion's story of how he wanted a dragon for his name day, only to be disappointed by loud laughter from his family. Some claim Tyrion Lannister would ride Viserion, since he already managed to earn their trust and unshackle them. Tyrion Lannister, claiming that dragons are intelligent much more than most people and will quickly recognize friend from foe, in my opinion is the best explanation and the only reason dragons did not kill Tyrion. Dragons realize he's a friend and not an enemy, meaning that even though Tyrion did manage to earn their trust, he most likely will not be the one to ride the third dragon. Instead, I stated that the Night King will be the third dragon rider, and therefore we would have Dany, Fire, the Night King Ice, and Jon Snow, Ice and Fire riding 3 dragons. The first part of my theory already came true in the season 7 finale, leaving the last part yet to come true, Jon Snow riding Rhaegal. After the season 6 finale and huge revelation of Jon Snow's true parentage, Jon is not a bastard but rather son of Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen, also known as the Last Dragon. It's pretty easy to assume that Jon is the second rider. Jon Snow will most likely ride Rhaegal, the dragon named after his father, and this right here could be Jon and Dany approaching dragons to mount them. Notice how Drogon's and Rhaegal's heads are down, as if they are preparing for Dany and Jon to mount and ride them. Dragons possess devastating power, capable of laying waste to armies and burning entire cities to ashes, but they are most efficient when they have their rider. Rhaegal is the only dragon that does not have a rider, and will probably change in the final season. Just the other day, a Jon Snow vs the Night King was teased by an actor who plays the Night King, and how I actually see that fight going down is with Jon being on Rhaegal and the Night King being on Viserion. A dragon fight is a must for the final season, and we'll almost certainly witness at least one. Okay guys, that will be my 2 guesses as of who is chasing Arya, and will Jon ride Rhaegal? Feel free to share your opinion or guesses in the comment section down below. In my opinion, it's definitely an undead Stark chasing Arya, and Jon will definitely ride a dragon named after his father. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.